Welcome to Guided Abroad, where I bring you in on the intuitive downloads, bold decisions, and vulnerable moments that unfold when Spirit takes the lead. This is my personal story, but it could be yours too, because we all have the ability to receive and follow inner guidance. Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm so glad you're here. You do not want to skip this episode. Today is the day of my departure flight, and I'm sharing the highlight reel of what led to this moment, the visions, turning points, and the insights that made this calling impossible to ignore. This is the origin story, and it sets the stage for everything that follows. Let's dive in. It was just a short meditation and an otherwise uneventful day. A day busy like all the others, uncertain in some ways, taking a pause. But in this pause, I received a vision, and this vision is upending my entire life. This vision is changing the work that I do, it's changing where I live, and it may even change who I understand myself to be. This moment was just a few weeks after I left my corporate career. I had a partnership that I thought was going to be the next blossoming career or next opportunity fall apart in that same 2 weeks. I was hungry for some information about where my life was going to unfold. And I received a vision that flooded me with so much love and belonging that tears streamed down my face. If I let myself touch back into it, tears will stream down my face right now, just remembering it. As the days and weeks went on, more information came in and a timeline for events to unfold through visions and transmissions and downloads became very clear. First, I would relocate in August 2025. And over time, I would get more deeply settled into my new location, this location to be this desert-like environment. I was open to this idea in one way and skeptical in others. Let me explain the two. I was open because the timing made sense. My lease on my house is up in August 2025. I have been to desert places many times. I have some communities in desert places. And so I thought, well, that kind of makes sense. But on the other hand, I was skeptical because I've moved a lot. And I've learned through that moving that it isn't the outward environment changing that changes the way we feel about life or our connection to spirit. It is our inner work that does that. It's the changing of our inside self. So I wasn't buying in very easily to this idea that a move to a desert was going to bring me this joyful life. Sitting in that skepticism, I reached out to some peers who also have some intuitive abilities and got some readings from them to give me another, third-party look at things. And over again, the message was consistent. Let go of your past career, let intuition guide you, and be playful. The quote, I think, was, treat it like a scavenger hunt. If you want to be the best version of yourself. This really got my attention because I'm someone who's always pursued the best of myself, best in myself, and the best of myself for others. And so I kept going. I continued to embrace more fully this idea that there might be a move for me. And I started thinking about New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, places in the US where I'd been before, enjoyed, and have occasionally considered living in. And then I got the download message from my guides that said, don't go looking, let it come to you. Shortly after that, a free hypnosis session became available to me. I was very excited because the timing was so good to get a deeper look into what was unfolding here. And it brought a twist. What you're about to hear is a recording from my session with QHHT practitioner Jeannette Cormier. QHHT stands for Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, which was developed by Dolores Cannon. It connects people with their highest self and past lives. While Jeanette's gentle voice is pretty easy to hear, mine is a little harder to make out. This is because of the deep hypnosis, but it's also because I'm flooded with emotions in some moments. If you have difficulty following along, check out the video version of this episode on YouTube or Substack. These both include subtitles, or the transcript of the show from the show notes.
May I speak to Sarah's higher self, please? I respect the power of the higher self because the higher self has the records of everything that has ever happened to Sarah in this lifetime and all the other lifetimes she has ever lived. Do I have permission to ask questions?
Yes.
I know the higher self could have brought forth many different lifetimes for Sarah to see today. You chose to bring forward the life with her as a male Viking. Why did you pick that lifetime? Is there anything about that life that's similar to the life Sarah's living now?
The need to go on a quest, the courage that's required, and the senses of fullness and aloneness that guide the way.
What is Sarah's role in healing her ancestral lineage?
Sarah is breaking the patterns that have existed for generations. She is gently saying no and saying yes to something new. Her family that are past see this and celebrate it. Her family that are living confused but open to embracing, and they are learning from her example. She feels alone, but she is elevating them all.
Where should Sarah live?
The view is open, skies are big, it is dry. There are many places in the world like this.
Has she been there before?
She has been to many, but the ones she has been to are not the ones that she will go to. The ones she has been to are too hot, water too scarce. She will find another place that is better suited.
Will that be soon?
2025.
This clip showed that the place where I am going to go is no place that I've been before. Moving alone was enough to take in, but to be moving somewhere outside of the US as a permanent move, right? A big whole move, your whole life, not going for a trip, not going for a short stay, but your whole life. That's a big deal. And I still didn't know where it is. But August 2025 is quickly approaching. Time is going by. About a week later, I'm in with my business consultant who is an energy worker, and we're working on the energy of my business, the energy of me, making sure we're all in a good place together. And a download occurs that this future location is Morocco. Now, I am just caught completely off guard. So surprised, unexpected, never thought of Morocco as a potential place to live. And frankly, being a horrible geography student, not even sure I knew where it was at the time. That's very embarrassing to say, but I think it's true. And I really hadn't thought of Morocco much. I was in a tailspin. I'm asking, surely there are other places. Surely it can be easier. Surely it doesn't need to be this. As I researched Morocco, I became convinced that it was a beautiful place to be, but it just seemed so difficult. Then the signs started rolling in. I was getting emails suddenly from people in Morocco. I was going to meetings and meeting people who had been born in Morocco and now lived in other places. I went to a conference and met a woman who had a Moroccan native husband. I mean, just one person after another. And each of these people were so kind and willing to speak with me one-on-one and give me their view and perspective of Morocco and give me advice about where to go. It was fantastic. I had the opportunity for an astrocartography session where they look at your astrology and locations in the world where you might be best suited to live. The astrocartography session was very interesting because it confirmed both specifically Marrakesh as a base location and the August 2025 timing for the relocation. There is a planetary transit that's happening during this period and lasts for a year that is particularly suited for karmic release. However, the astrologer did point towards some other locations, which we can talk about more in another episode. Another thing that happened around this time is I got nudged to open up an old journal from 2012. Back in 2012, I was just starting with a seer that I've worked with for over a decade, and this was his very first call with me. And in that call, my notes show we talked about ancient lineages on my mother and my father's side, warring each other for generations, slaughtering each other over land rights in Morocco. What? I mean, I remember the story about the wars in our ancient lineage, but I did not remember this piece that it was about Morocco. And something else nudged me to pull up some old DNA analysis, ancestral analysis that I had done a while back, years ago. Sure enough, in my DNA analysis, Northern Africa. Small percentage, but still. Ancient roots. While all this is happening, I'm starting to get flooded with dreams. And these dreams are showing me food items being created and served and other types of nourishment and welcoming that are all, when I research what they look like and look at the traditions online, I discover are all related to Morocco. At this point, I'm all in. I can't ignore all of this, and I've only told you just a quarter of what happened, if even that. So I'm all in, and today is the day. Today is the day that I leave for Morocco. In just a few hours. So I want to wrap this up by just reminding you that a short meditation, a few minutes, and so much information can be revealed. Your life is not fixed. Your life is evolving in every moment. Come back next week. Hopefully I'll be updating you from Marrakesh. You've been listening to Guided Abroad with me, Sarah Cook, where spirit and intuition lead the way. Did something in today's episode spark your curiosity or resonate deeply? I'd love to hear about it. And your story or question might even shape a future episode. Share your questions, stories, and comments on YouTube, Substack, or social media. Links are on the show page. And subscribe so you won't miss what happens next. You know, it's easy to feel alone on the spiritual journey. I'm so glad that we have each other. Thanks for being here.